Alrighty, Loads for Life here, bringing guys a brand new deck profile this time around. It is my Dinomist deck profile for the pre-June 12th ban list. Granted though, this is pretty much the same during the June 12th ban list. I've pretty much made it to where it can be playable under both formats. There's really no difference between the two, really honestly, for Dinomist, because the deck still functionally stays the same in that it is a very much slow beatdown deck, if I had to really try and define it in like one sentence, in that it uses a lot of traps to try and really screw over what your opponent does so the deck can really just go off during the next turn or two. And that's what the deck really excels at. That's one of the reasons why it has such a good matchup against Zoo, because Zoo has such a hard time dealing with all the traps that this deck plays. Not to mention, Zoo also absolutely hates the freaking field spell that this deck has. And it's just an overall really fun tier 2 deck, I think, right now. If you guys want to build a really budget, cheap, fun to play deck, I highly recommend Dinomist. It can be just really fun, and it can really do pretty well against most of the meta. I can't really say so much about True Dracos because of all their disruption and stuff, but against Zoo, it works really well against Zoo. It's hilarious how much this deck just craps on Zoo. So, let's get on to the deck profile and stop babbling on. First and foremost, we have triple Dinomist Terran. Dinomist Terran, he is your kind of sort of Stratos in the sense that he searches, but only whenever he kills a monster in battle. Now, the nice thing is, that's not once per turn. So if you can let your Dinomist Terran attack multiple times, or you have multiples out, you can get multiple searches. And heck, even funnier is if your opponent attacks into it, and you use something to drop your opponent's monster's attack power, or increase Terrans or something, and make it to where Terran kills that monster in battle, you'll get the search off. It just is a really funny, overall really good card. And just being able to search out anything, the fact that it can search out literally any Dinomist card. I don't think it can search itself. It can search itself, which is very intriguing, because not many search cards can search itself. Next up, we got triple Dinomist Plezius. Plezius is really nice for the simple fact that he makes it to where all of your opponent's monsters lose 100 attack and defense for every Dinomist card you control. That counts monsters, spells, traps, and pendulum skills, obviously, which is really, really, really good. It lets it to where Terran can run over more things, and makes it to where your other monsters, since a lot of Dinomists have effects that trigger whenever they kill monsters in battle, it just is really good overall and helps out quite a bit. Now, the one thing that I should also mention is their pendulum skill effects. All skill 6s have the effect to where if a card in your opponent's possession targets one of your Dinomists other than itself, you can negate that and then destroy it, destroy itself. And then all skill 3s have the effect where it's basically the same thing, where it negates and destroys itself by negating the destruction of a Dinomist card by battle or card effect, which is really helpful. You can save any of your Dinomist stuff, your continuous spells, your continuous traps, your monsters, your spells, whatever. It's really, really nice, and it's incredibly helpful for the grind game and stuff, and just protecting your stuff in general. Next up, I got triple Dinomist Ankylos. I've been kind of fluctuating between 2 and 3 this guy, but right now I'm playing 3 because I really like him. Ankylos, he's got pretty okay stats, but the really nice thing about him is that while he's on the field, any Dinomist that you control that destroys an opponent's monster in battle, that monster that was destroyed is banished instead of going to the graveyard, which can really screw over a lot of decks and their playstyles, because the game is so heavily graveyard oriented that if you can destroy just anything from a Rat Pier to a Trident to a Fairy Tale Stone, doesn't matter. As long as you destroy it by battle, that monster is banished instead of going to the grave, which is incredibly, incredibly good. Next up, for the 2-ofs now, we got 2 Spinos. Spinos is just absurd in how good he is, in that you can tribute off a Dinomist and he can attack directly. You can also tribute off a Dinomist to let him attack twice. Neither one of those effects are once per turn, so you can tribute off 2 Dinomists to let them attack directly twice. It's really, really funny, and can just dish out all sorts of insane amounts of damage. Without the field spell, that's 5 cages with him. If you have multiples of them out, that's game. And heck, with the field spell, it's 5,600 damage. That is just absurd how much damage one card can put out. Granted though, you don't really get to do that too often, because you don't really tribute off to, well, you do tribute off your stuff too much, but generally speaking, when you tribute off your Dinomist, it's to disrupt your opponent, not so much to decay. Granted though, this guy is YgoAmino decay away. 2 Rex, really good card. He was the boss monster before Spinos came out, now they're like the both boss monsters. Rex, he has 2 really nice effects that he gets whenever he battles. So after damage calculation, after he battles, you can activate one of his following effects. Either you can tribute a, I believe you have to tribute a Dinomist for both. Discard, yeah, you have to tribute 1 Dinomist for both effects. Then you can activate one or the other. This card can make a second attack on an opponent's monster in a row, and if it attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing damage to your opponent. Or you can shuffle 1 card from your opponent's hand or field into the deck, and this card gains 100 attack power. And yes, you can actually use both effects, so like you can use attack, use his effect, tribute off a dude, let him attack again, do piercing, and then use his effect again to tribute off another dude, and then shuffle a random card out of your opponent's hand. It is a really good card. He's really disruptive. He can really screw over your opponent's plays, and generally speaking, you usually use his effect to pick out cards from your opponent's hand, so that then your opponent has less options to counterattack you next turn. Next up, we got 2 Ceratops. I've been debating between playing 2 of him or 1 of him and then replacing the other one with either a Brachion or another trap or something. I've been really debating on that, but right now I'm just going with 2 of him because I like Ceratops quite a bit. He's a really good combo extender in that if you control a Dinomist, you can just special summon him from your hand, which is really useful for being able to combo and get more stuff out on the field. And if your opponent has a bunch of back row and you're scared of pendulum summoning, you can like normal summon a Terran or a Plesius or something, and then special summon Ceratops and try and bait out that back row, which is really good. I don't know, for the non-Dinomist monsters I play 2 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. This card is my budget version of Ghost Ash, because I don't have $120 to pump out for 2 Ghost Ash. Now, if you happen to be lucky enough to have 2 Ghost Ash, definitely replace Ghost Ogre with Ghost Ash, but this card basically does the same thing. Kind of, in a way. I mean, it negates your opponent's diagram, negates your opponent's barrage. Well, not really so much negates the barrage, provided they don't blow up barrage itself with its effect and stuff. But really, it can stop a lot of things. It can screw over your opponent's plays and everything, and that's really what it does and what it's supposed to do. It's just really disrupt your opponent. Also, it's a tuner, so if that ever comes up, that's nice. I play 2 Drone Lockbirds. This is to completely and totally stop your opponent from adding anything. For those who don't know, Drone Lockbird, he's basically another budget Ghost Ash in that he does basically the same thing as Ghost Ash, except he doesn't negate the initial card, and your opponent has to add a card from their deck to their hand in order to use his effect. And then whenever they do that, you can discard them, and your opponent cannot add any cards from their deck to their hand or draw any cards for the rest of the turn, which is really good. So like for instance with Zodiac, they'll like go into Broad Bowl, search out like their like Fluffle Sheep, and then you just change this guy's effect, discard them. Your opponent can't discard Fluffle Sheep to search. They can't use, why am I saying Fluffle Sheep? Luna Light Black Sheep. That's what I meant, not Fluffle Sheep. And then like your opponent just is completely and totally screwed. They can't draw, they can't add, they can't go through the freaking Zodiac combo, and it just is a really good card overall. Just being able to stop your opponent dead in their tracks. I mean, yeah, they get that initial search or draw, but that's it. That's the end of everything. They can't search or draw anymore for the rest of the turn, which is absolutely absurd. Now then, for the 1-ofs, I play 1 Luster Pendulum because he's just a really good pendulum monster. You generally want to play him and try and play him into everything, especially since he opens up the ability to go into Dinoster and Ignister. And then 1 Max C, because Max C is at 1, and it really shouldn't be. Now then, up for the spells, triple Dinomist Charge. This kind of goes without saying. Whenever you activate it, you can add any Dinomist monster from your deck to your hand. So you generally want to grab Terran or whatever skill you're missing. And then whenever a Dinomist goes into your extra deck, you have to add it back to your hand. I hate it that the second part is freaking mandatory. It's so annoying. But however, it's also so good, so you still want to use it. Now then, the only sad thing is you can only activate 1 charge per turn. But seeing as how you're generally adding Terran, so you can then summon the Terran, attack over something, and then search out another charge, that seems pretty good. Or heck, sometimes you don't need to grab charge, sometimes you need to grab something else. But yeah, overall charge is just a really good card. A bit obnoxious how your opponent can just negate it by just MSTing it. It's annoying, but oh well. 2 dynamic power load. The field spell, which turns all of your Dinomists into Armades and pumps them up by 300 attack and defense. This card is really, really good. It enables your monsters to be able to attack without worry, and seeing as how most Dinomists get their effects off of battling, this card is absolutely necessary. I've even been thinking about bumping it up to 3, but it can be a bit of a dead draw. So I've been avoiding that. Right now 2 has been working quite well, and I also play 1 terraforming, but just to search it out. It's a really good card overall, and I do definitely think that 2 seems to be working fine. I might bump it up to 3 later on though, I don't know. I want to hear you guys' opinions and stuff. And finally, to round off the spells, I play 2 MST. You might be wondering why I don't play Twin Twister. It's because, typically speaking, this deck already eats through its hand fast enough, and Twin Twister, while it's the better card, generally speaking, I generally don't have a discard in my hand to, you know, get rid of to use Twin Twister. And whenever I do, it's usually a card that I don't want to discard. It's a card that I would much rather be using, whether it be on the field or, you know, like other things. Like, generally speaking, whenever I was playing Twin Twister, I used to have to discard one of my Pendulum monsters, and this deck is one of the Pendulum decks that has 0 recovery from graveyard. So, really, in all honesty, you don't want to play Twin Twister because you want to play MST because it just is overall better and can save you from, you know, losing your advantage. Now, that being said, though, once Heavy Dust Storm comes out, I will probably swap out these for that because Heavy Dust Storm does basically the same thing as Twin Twister, except I lose out of my battle phase during my turn if I activate it during my turn, but generally speaking, activate it during your opponent's turn. So, yeah, I'm probably going to swap these out for Heavy Dust Storm whenever it comes to TCG, which I have no idea, actually, when that comes out. Now then for the traps. First up, I play triple Dinomist Howling. This is the new card from Maximum Crisis, and what makes the deck really, really good. The deck was already pretty good as a, you know, pretty good rogue tier deck, but this makes it even better, because whenever you activate it, you get to choose any 1 or 2 Dinomists in your deck, place them in your Pendulum Zones right away. While yes, you can't Pendulum Summon anything except for Dinomists until the end of your next turn, that doesn't matter. Generally speaking, you're going to be Pendulum Summoning Dinomists. And then you can tribute off any Dinomists during either player's turn, once a turn, and then bounce a card your opponent controls. It turns, so essentially it turns all of your Dinomists into Kieran and sets your skills right away. Not only that, but also because it's a trap, it gets around anti-spell fragrance. Because it doesn't say activate the 2, it says place them, so you get around anti-spell fragrance. And it just is an overall really, really, really amazing card, being able to get rid of anything from back row to monsters. Additionally, if you have multiple Howling out, the tribute to bounce effect is not a hard once per turn. So if you have like all 3 out, you can use all 3 of their effects to tribute and bounce. Theoretically, I mean, I've never had it happen, but I've had 2 out, generally speaking. It just is a really, really good card overall, and it's absolutely mandatory at 3. Next up is 2 Dinomist Rush. I've been thinking about bumping this up to 3, but I've been kind of debating on it. So Dinomist Rush, whenever you activate it, you spell summon any Dinomist from your deck. It cannot, well, it's unaffected by all spell or trap effects and monster effects. And yeah, it's destroyed during the end phase. It just is a general OTK enabler, and it can save your butt during your opponent's turn and sets up your plays and stuff for the next turn. Because while the monster is destroyed during the end phase, it goes to your extra deck and then you can Pendulum Summon it back out. Generally speaking, I usually grab Rex or Spinos so I can try and OTK my opponent or just finish them off and pick out cards from their hand. So it's a really, really good card for just grabbing stuff from your deck. It's really, really good. Next up, 2 Lost Wind. I've been thinking, again, another card I've been thinking about bumping up to 3, but considering that it recycles itself too, it seems to be pretty good. It's literally Breakthrough Skill, but better. Being able to just negate the monster's effect permanently, and also halving that monster's attack power, which is absolutely necessary for this deck, considering how many monsters in Dinomist that trigger their effects whenever they kill a monster in battle or when they battle. This card is so freaking amazing. I absolutely love it. And then, oh, you can just reset it if your opponent spell summons from the extra deck. That is stupid. This card is such a great card. I love it. 2 Quaking Mirror Force. Out of all the Mirror Forces, I chose Quaking because it puts them in face-down defense position, and then my Dinomist can run them over. So, like, for instance, Terran can then run over something, search, or Rex can run over something, so I can spin something back from my opponent's hand. It just is a really good card. Same principle for Floodgate Trap Hole, screwing over my opponent and stuff. And then of course also 2 Grand Horn of Heavens. I don't have regular Horn of Heaven, and generally speaking I like Grand Horn a bit better because it just literally stops your opponent in their tracks and puts them straight into their battle phase. Sure, they get to draw a card, but I just negated their summon and they are thrown into the battle phase. Now, with that being said though, it is a bit obnoxious that they do get to draw. I've had people, I've only ever had it happen once where somebody drew a card that they like absolutely needed off of this, which is pretty annoying, but also like it just is a generally really good card. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe if your opponent draws a card off of Grand Horn, you can discard Draw Unlock Bird to be able to negate them from drawing anything else for the rest of the turn. That's just something that I've been told, but I don't know, like, because it's your card effect, not your opponent, but I don't know. Anyways, to the X-Deck, I'm going to be completely and totally honest. With Dinomist, the X-Deck is completely and totally irrelevant. You really do not need an X-Deck. Generally speaking, you go into it once in a blue moon. The only cards that are really important are Ignister and Dinoster, because, well, Ignister, he's just easily one of the best Pendulum support cards in general. And same thing with Dinoster. Dinoster being able to protect near skills, as well as also, I believe, your Pendulum monsters. And of course, Ignister being able to just non-targeting, non-destruction removal is so incredibly good. Not to mention 2850 attack power. That is stupid good amounts. So really, honestly, these are the only 2 that I would say that are absolutely necessary, mostly because of Luster Pendulum and stuff. So the rest is all up to you and everything. So I play 1 Abyss Dweller to stop my opponent's graveyard stuff, mostly for dinos. 1 to get Storm Roll, because that's literally my only way to recover stuff from graveyard. 1 Magister Paladin to search. 1 Tornado Dragon, I actually just got this guy yesterday, to pop stuff. 1 Bahamut Shark to be able to special summon my Nightmare Shark and then go into 4 Armored Black Ray Rancer so I can pop more back row and just be able to have a pretty good body out on the field. Oh, by the way, I don't have Toad. If I had Toad, would be awesome. I would play him in here. 1 number 39, Utopia, and of course his big brother, Utopia the Lightning. A good old Cyber Dragon, and Nova, and then Infinity, and then Abyss Blast to go into 4 Armored Crystal Wave Rancer. I kind of borrowed some of my experience with Sharks and put that into here with the X-Deck. So overall, that's the X-Deck. It's the only thing I think I'm really like actually kind of sort of need, since I'm playing Bahamut Shark, is totally awesome. But yeah, he's kind of expensive right now still. So guys, that's the deck profile. God, wow, look at how many traps I play compared to how many monsters. Actually, I think I'm more monster heavy than I thought I was. But anyways, guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great day. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. See you all later. Peace out. If you guys want to talk to me or anything, links are down in the description to all my social media, including my Discord. It's always fun to talk to people and stuff. And if you guys have any recommendations or concerns or comments about this, please comment down below. I love reading you guys' comments. I may not always respond, but I do try to always read your comments at the very least. Thank you all for watching again. See y'all later, and peace out.